Hello, everyone, and welcome to this One Piece chapter review for chapter 1132, titled Adventure in Elbaf. So, do you want to go over the cover story real quickly? Because it's quite brief. We have Yamato visiting the Udon prison with Speed and Tama, and they're just there whilst it's being reconstructed. As far as this cover story goes, I don't see it going very far. I think it's just like an interim story. Some of the other cover stories we've had been quite impactful into the story, especially like for the one with Drake and Caribou, where they made their way to Wano, which kind of informed the Wano arc. But this one, I think I can see just like staying self-contained and not going anywhere because we're done with Wano for now. So I think it's a nice cover story, but won't attain to anything major. So moving on with the main message of the chapter, I'd say the title stands to reason. Adventure in Elbaf. This is the first chapter, I think, that kind of establishes the introduction to Elbaf on a larger scale. We see at the end of the chapter all the Straw Hats meeting, so both groups, the original five, and then the newer Straw Hats. Initially, I thought they'd stay kind of separated for longer, but it seems like Oda's just kind of forming them back as a group, and we see them all meet up, and we get the massive double-page spread of the of Elbaf, specifically the second tier of Elbaf, which I'll get into later about the tiers. But we see initially Luffy's reaction, and then Usopp's reaction. We get the callback from back when Usopp and Luffy met at the end of, I think it was Syrup Village, where say, "You guys, someday I swear I'm going to Elbaf," and then yeah, that was like 20 years ago, and now it's just coming back into fruition, and you see Usopp there crying his eyes out. I know this is one of those scenes that's going to be done to amazing like perfection in the anime, so I can't wait for that in a few years. On the topic of the Straw Hats reacting to the massive double page spread, we see that Lilith and Bonnie have pictures within the rest of the Straw Hats. Now, usually when we get a new Straw Hat, we get like a really big party, and Luffy outright says that he wants them to join. For Lilith and Bonnie specifically, we haven't had that yet, so I'm assuming that they haven't been inaugurated as Straw Hats yet. Oda would dedicate some panel time for them if he wanted them to join, but it's quite a big theory that Vivi will be the last Straw Hat, especially after a couple chapters ago when Robin saw Luffy's X on his arm, I think, in the newspaper. So I could definitely see her becoming a Straw Hat before Bonnie and Lilith. Another thing that was brought up this chapter, quite introduced, was the concept of rainbows. So we see Nico Robin's Straw Hat group travelling up the rainbow with the Giants, as well as Hydrogen. He makes an appearance, which is nice to see him. I wonder what he's going to join up with his giant pirate crew who are on Elbaf, like Gerd and Goldberg. So he was following up behind them on the rainbow. But it makes you question, where else can these rainbows be used? You know, both seem to be used for traversal across great heights, kind of like the knock-up stream from like the depths of the ocean to the surface. So maybe we can see the rainbows being used to get to high places like Skypiea or the Sky Islands. Even, this is my theory, maybe we can go to the moon with these, since there are these, I think there's like crystals or like sunstones, I think they're called, that they literally just paint the sunstones, or the rainbows with the sunstones, is what Broggy said at the end of the chapter. This is a very interesting concept that we'll see play out, I'm sure, across the arc. And then whilst the other Straw Hats are travelling up the rainbow, we see, we cut to Luffy with Gerd and Goldberg running on the bridge from the underworld to the second world. And we get a weird panel of Luffy, like in absolute shock, like distraught almost, which is like, we've never seen him look like this before, or as much as we have. And we cut to like a flashback of Loki telling him not to tell anyone else about their promise that he's made. So I think Oda's got big plans for Loki and Luffy, for the rest of the arc. Maybe it's to do with Loki freeing, or Luffy freeing Loki, but we'll have to see, because I think there is more to Loki than what normally seems. Now, the most interesting thing about the chapter happens at the end. So we start getting, around the time of the massive panel of Elbaf, we get these like narrative boxes of specific narration starting, basically describing like the grandiose nature of Elbaf and like its beauty. And then at the end of the chapter, it's revealed that it's actually a journal entry from Louis Arnott, who is an explorer, and he's been documenting his time in Elbaf of such. But if you remember, there was a chapter a way long time ago in Little Garden, I think around chapter 110 or something. There was a book that Nami was reading by the same author, Louis. He was talking about the giants in Little Garden. So this seems to be a character that has come up. He seems to be like an explorer, obsessed with the giants. So maybe he has ties to Mont Blanc, that type of thing, or, you know, we'll have to see what his connections are, and if he's still alive, because there is a silhouette as well in the last page. Now, this silhouette could be Louis. There were theories saying that it could be Shiki because of the hat or the hair. There's even a theory that it's Scopocaban of the Gold Roger Pirates. Could be the man with the burn scar. It could be all these people. Oda loves giving us silhouettes that we have no clue as to who they are until they're revealed. But there's also a bear in this panel, which kind of throws you off because it looks very weird. So I don't know what that's about. But Louis Arnott does mention there being a lot of animals and things on the island. So, and the final thing I want to mention is related to a theory that I saw based on this chapter. So Louis Arnott kind of goes on to talk about like time and like time variation. So that his last message is, "Do not overstay your welcome here," referring to Elbaf. He also says, "Adventurers, do not regret your lost time here." So I'm wondering if there's, well, based on the theory that I heard, some sort of time dilation in Elbaf, and it could explain why the giants have ages that are so much larger than everyone else. Like, it could be a case that giants are actually the same age as us, but they just age much faster on their island of Elbaf than anywhere else in the East Blue, or on the Blue. So possibly we could get the Straw Hats aging at the same rate as the giants. Then they come out of Elbaf, and then absolutely chaos has happened in the world, and it's been like 1 or 2 years, so we could get another time skip. Now, I don't know if Oda would do that at this point in the series, but it would be really cool, because we're kind of approaching the point where the chapter number has almost doubled that of when we stopped for the last time skip. So maybe if Oda wants to do the kind of the same interval of chapters and then give us another time skip or like a training thing, then it'd be the perfect time to do it. So yeah, my overall thoughts of the chapter. Good chapter, quite a feel-good chapter, kind of getting all the Straw Hats back together. The start of the adventure, I feel like Elbaf is going to be a really big arc, even though Oda keeps saying that One Piece has like 5 years left. He's been saying that for 5 years, so we still have a long way to go. But I'm just ready for the Elbaf ride, and I hope you are too. So let me know what you thought of the chapter down below. Give me a like, give me a subscribe if you thought this video was any quality of good. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you for the next or another chapter review in the future. So yeah, take care.